Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Is it appropriate for me to ask an employee about their personal finances, try and dig into it to understand what to pay them in the situation that I did buy this person's book of business in exchange for them having a job, steady income?
All right, before we dive into that, and I'll defer to George on this one, but I'm curious, is there not a market value range of salary that you already aware of? And then are you asking this question in the context of that? In other words, you know the range of what the market says you should pay somebody with his experience or his or her experience and skill, or are you just sticking your thumb in the air?
So I have a general idea, and it's a lot less than what they're getting paid right now. But I also know that they have a lot of personal debt from their business line that we purchased. I know the person as a friend, now we're just work colleagues, there's not really too much friendship, but the answer is I do know. Okay. But it's kind of the struggle to keep a good workplace and make sure that they are in a sense taken care of also. Cause I'm weaning them off right now. I'm weaning them off being used to be able to live frivolously.
Mm-hmm. When you said you bought the book of business, did you write them a check? How did that go down?
No, so I actually acquired it for free. So it's actually, we had a document drafted that pretty much gave us the book of business in exchange for their employment guaranteed for 6 months.
What do they get out of this?
So they get a job, essentially. They get a job. He's getting paid off the bottom line. He runs one of our branches. We have 2 branches. It was a big plus for us in terms of going from probably 300 to 400,000 for this year to probably $1 million plus in revenue. So there's a big benefit on our end, and unfortunately he ran his business into the ground culturally, financially. So that's where we came in compliance-wise. They didn't get the insurances they needed because of losses.
So you swooped in and said, hey, I'll take over and I'll give you a job, and that was the agreed-upon deal.
Meet EveryDollar budgeters Christy and Steve. Their life is chaotic, but their money is simple because they budget with EveryDollar.
Budgeting with the spreadsheet took a ton of time.
But now with EveryDollar, I can do a budget in 5 minutes.
And tracking purchases is just as simple.
It's so freeing to know exactly where your money is going.
It just takes that stress out of the day-to-day life.
You got this, Hannigan family. EveryDollar. Create your free account today.
So you swooped in and said, hey, I'll take over and I'll give you a job. And that was the agreed-upon deal.
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you how we view this at Ramsey, and we never look at someone's personal finances to figure out how much we're going to pay them. The only reason we do a budget in the interview process is to make sure that what we pay them is enough for them to live. And so that gives them an out to say, hey, listen, I'd love to take this job, but I can't afford to. We don't want people going to debt because they took on a job. So we don't do it to say, well, they need $10,000 to live. Let's pay them $10,000 a month. I think that's a different situation. So I would not base it on how much debt he has. I would base it on the value that they are bringing to the organization and what the market rate is. Because what you don't want is for them to get underpaid to where they go, well, I can go elsewhere and make more, but I'm in this contract and stuck in this purgatory with handcuffs on. Because that's not going to create a great employment situation for them, which is only going to hurt you in the end.
Yeah.
So give me a ballpark of what you think this role would get paid. What would you pay someone else to run a branch if you hired from the outside?
75 to 80,000 base hourly with some bonus based off performance.
Great.
What were they paying themselves before you bought their business?
It's hard to determine. I went into their numbers. They were pretty much paying themselves out of the business, him and his fiance, anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a month or more on big months.
And you're telling me that was a poor choice based on how this business was run? He was overpaying himself.
Overpaying themselves, taking on debt they didn't need. Spending out of the business, haven't paid taxes in 3 years. So he owes back taxes for that business for the last 3 years.
Wow.
Something like he's mentioned, like 20-something thousand.
But you're telling me $80K is market rate to run a branch in your field?
Yes, I'd say yeah. That'd be the higher side, with his experience and his repertoire and being able to handle sales and logistics.
Okay, but
yes.
that's a big gap. So
yeah, is it going to be on him to say I can't take this job, because it sounds like he has to take it based on the agreed upon contract?
He doesn't have to. So he doesn't. We don't essentially. He's a valuable asset to the team. But it's just trying to figure out the balance between being a good guy and making sure he's taken care of. That's why I feel like I need to see something. And I know him, like I said, as a friend from prior to business. I actually, long story short, I started help him build his business. We had disagreements. I was like, hey, I need ownership in this thing. It was kind of like a young start. I'm relatively young, and we went down the road of no. So I left, started my own business in the same field. Now acquired his business line.
Sure. No, I get that. Let me jump in here, because I really appreciate your heart. You're a good dude, and I love the spirit by which you're entering into this decision. However, you've already pointed out that he was paying himself too much based on the business, and I understand you already have an existing business. But you as you talk to us today, you have a pretty good idea the market value you told us, but you also have a pretty good idea about what's a healthy number, and anything above that is you doing charitable work. True?
Correct. Yeah.
Then what's that number?
Right now, it's charitable work.
What's the max number that let's forget anything that he tells you in the days ahead as you dig into his finances, or the way George told you.
Whether he has $500,000 in debt or nothing
doesn't
in debt,
matter.
it doesn't reflect what you pay him.
That's right. And so what I'm getting at is, what's the max number that's not charitable?
Max number that's not charitable, 85 to 90, like not much higher than that. That'd be like the best of the best.
Yeah, you can't justify a nickel beyond that. True or false?
That's true.
Well, then that's the number.
Okay. Yeah, the only reason I guess I was justifying it was partially the debt, but then also partially like, well, look, we wouldn't have this business line. But I was telling him, dude, there has to be a balance. You can't just say, oh, well, you wouldn't have this business line if it wasn't for, what I created. But it's like, well, you wouldn't have a business at all.
Exactly.
If we didn't step in, and now his employees are getting way better ratings, better performance. Everything's improved. Everything has improved from A to Z.
Correct. So, Joe, that's why I'm jumping in here to say, if you pay him any more than the number you just gave us, you will, and he doesn't make any changes at all, and there's a good chance that he won't make any changes, correct?
Yeah, there's a good chance. That's
all right.
what I'm worried about.
Guess what happens? You become resentful.
Yeah.
And then this whole thing just becomes a negative taste in your mouth, just a nasty taste. So the max number that you've already, that's it. Don't go beyond that. Now, you can incentivize him as the business grows.
As the bottom line grows, so can his income.
Yeah, but it is what it is, my friend. So don't go any more than that. And for that reason, George, I'm going to come back to what you already said, and I wouldn't be digging in too much to this guy's stuff.
Because then it's going to feel like you're trying to pull a fast one on him based on, and even if it's high or low, I want to treat him like I would any other person who is applying for this job. Give him that dignity and kind of remove all of the history and context and go, this is what I can offer you. And if he becomes resentful or entitled, that's a good sign that he's not the guy for this job.
Yep.
And it's going to suck to have to go back to the drawing board and hire someone from the outside to run this thing, but that's the healthiest thing for the business.
I'd rather do that, yeah.
Exactly.
In all honesty, business numbers, I'd rather hire someone else, train them.
There you go.
And because I like you, Joe, I'm gonna send you the Entree Leadership Guide to Hiring. That's going to help you make the most of this hire and everyone after that. So hang on the line. Christian will pick up. We'll make sure to get that guide over to you, my friend.
Love that. Got to be careful, George, in trying to be kind, that we don't make bad business decisions on a personal decision, and it ends up affecting the personal. You got to have some boundaries based on kindness, but also good common sense for your business. Great stuff there. Thanks, Joe, for the call.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.